The Leafs say you're welcome. It's the 2014 NHL Trade Deadline, and it was an exciting one, all because of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you might be asking yourself, why did the Leafs make it exciting? They didn't even make a trade! Stop thinking Toronto's the center of the universe. Well, I hate to break it to you, but it actually is. And I say that now as an ex-Torontonian. I now live on one of the moons called Oshawa. It's a lovely moon. There is a junior team. But here's why it's the Leafs doing that this was the most exciting trade deadline ever. Or at least for like 5 years. The 2003 NHL entry draft. Considered by many to be one of the best drafts of all time. Can I quickly read you the entire first round? In order from 1st to 30th. Marc-Andre Fleury, Eric Staal, Nathan Horton, Nikolai Zherdev, Thomas Vanek, Milan Mahalik, Ryan Suter, Braden Coburn, Dion Phaneuf, Andre Kostitsyn, Jeff Carter, Hugh Jessamine, the huge specimen, Dustin Brown, Brent Seabrook, Robert Nilsson, Steve Bernier, Zach Parise, Eric Fair, Ryan Getzlaf, Brent Burns, Mark Stort, Marc-Antoine Pouliot, Ryan Kessler, Mike Richards, Anthony Stort, Brian Boyle, Jeff Tambellini, I got so close! Corey Perry, Patrick Eaves, and Sean Bell. And a few other little chestnuts like Patrice Bergeron in the second round, Shea Weber in the second round. Like half of this year's Canadian Olympic team. One of the greatest drafts in NHL history, and not a single Leaf pick in the first round. So what we learned that day is for something to be the best NHL anything, the Leafs need to do nothing. Presumably because they're already perfect. Leafs aside, very busy and very exciting trade deadline day. Lots of moves, lots of big players too. And it usually starts with a little slow trickle. Nope, Martin St. Louis for Ryan Callahan. Martin St. Louis traded to the New York Rangers for Ryan Callahan, a first and a second. And St. Louis' first game is against the Leafs, so if you watch this video after that game, let me know how that went, because I'm pretty sure he's got like a 5 or 6 point night ahead of him. I don't know what's going on there. And here's the thing, most of you have strong opinions on it, and I don't think most of anyone knows what's going on there. Because I find it very hard to believe that Martin St. Louis got snubbed from the initial Olympic roster. Not even the entire thing. He ended up making it. He's got a gold medal. That's a receipt that he was there, but he got snubbed from the original roster, and that's why he's like, you know what, screw you, trade me. The Lightning are better than they have been probably since they won the Stanley Cup. Why would he want to be moved? It's probably more than just the snub. That aside, the return for Tampa wasn't terrible. Callahan's a good player. It's always good to get a first, always good to get a second, but for right now, they are a worse team than they were yesterday. And I hate when people go, well, they're getting Steven Stamkos back from injury, so it's like they're getting Stamkos and Callahan. No, it's friggin' not like that. If you break your arm and it heals, you don't have 3 arms. The New York Rangers, meanwhile, with the potential of Rick Nash and Martin St. Louis turning that team into a real contender in the East. They're not in the strongest conference, they could do it. I wonder if Nash and St. Louis, a little chit-chat during the Olympics, I'll go through more of the big names real quick. Ales Hemsky, who scored 2 goals on the Senators the night before, goes to Ottawa from the Oilers for a 5th and a 3rd. That's crazy to me because a huge part of who the Oilers are is Ales Hemsky trade rumors. Imagine if one day you went to McDonald's and they just stopped serving Big Macs. That's how I know you! Not great return for Hemsky for the Oilers, to be honest, and it's good for the Sens whether or not they make the playoffs because it wasn't that much to give up. Their odds of making the NHL are not very high, and if they do make it, it's not going to be for years. It's 2014 now. 2018, 19, 20? And the Oilers still might not be good. The Habs get Devin Dubnyk for future considerations. That's a pretty good insurance policy, and they gave him nothing to get him. For a 5th and a 3rd, the Pittsburgh Penguins acquire from the Florida Panthers Marcel Gottsch. That might be the underrated move of the day. Good depth forward, could be very handy for the Pens in the playoffs, and they gave up what the Sens gave up to get Ales Hemsky, and they'll need all the help they can get. They're really banged up. Straight up goalie swap, Tim Thomas to the Stars for Dan Ellis. Now we don't get to see that with all the tire pumping jokes and geez. I think Kari Lettonen's an underrated goalie for the Dallas Stars, and Tim Thomas can be good insurance. Also, he really likes guns. Texas, that whole Cowboys thing, it's a good fit. Andre Mazzaros for a 3rd is a solid pickup for the Bruins. Rafael Diaz for a 5th is another nice pickup for the Rangers. They, again, man, geez, they could come out of the East. Maybe the second biggest trade of the day, I'm gonna read this one. The Habs get Thomas Vanek and a conditional 5th round pick for Sebastian Kohlberg and a conditional second. Kohlberg, by the way, second round pick in 2012, so basically 2 seconds. On principle, you can't praise Garth Snow for this deal. He took a big poop on the Islanders organization and did his darndest to help clean up the poop that he took. If it were most other NHL teams, I would say, out with you, but it's the Islanders and they're just too entertaining. If your team wears blue and orange, you make weird moves. Yaroslav Halak joins the Washington Capitals, the team that he ruined a few years ago with the Habs. Caps also getting Dustin Penner. I love that move. I think it was Elliot Friedman said a little while back that the Caps should try to get Dustin Byfuglien because he's kind of what they need, and I agree. Big guy, nasty, can play forward, can play D, but he's a little too expensive, so Dustin Penner can take care of the big and nasty part. And a whole lot of playoff experience should the Caps make it. And last but not least, I left this one off. The Kings get Marian Gaborik for Matt Fratton. Oh, poor Matt. A second and a conditional third. So the Kings have like none of the parts that they got for Jonathan Bernier. But they parlayed them into other fun things. Asset management. Now quickly, the Leafs, because they didn't do anything. Nor should they have really done anything. A lot of people were yelling and screaming, well, they don't have any defensive depth. And I'm like, I know that. But this isn't the year. It's hard to say they took a step forward from last year. I don't know if it's a significant step back either. They're just kind of there. If the Leafs went around, fantastic. Even if they make it, that's pretty good. It's not guaranteed at this point. Most of the teams around them got a lot better, and they did not. But keep in mind, the Leafs made 4 trades this season, and that includes the acquisition of Tim Gleason, which I've liked, and they've also gotten Peter Holland, who I've really liked. And 490 goalies were traded in the last week, and James Reimer wasn't one of them. I'm sticking to it. They're re-signing 1 year, uno más. The Leafs will make their moves in the offseason. Hopefully they can make more of a push next year because, yes, they're one of the younger teams. They're not going to always be that. Phil Kessel is great and still getting better. So is James Van Riemsdyk. So is a lot of the team. But then they're going to hit that plateau where you want to win. Not saying they're going to be bad right away, but they're on here. You want to be really good when they are here. Jonathan Bernier is probably getting better too. Dion Phaneuf is about as good as he's ever going to get because of his age. Morgan Riley's getting better. Jake Gardner's getting better. Nazem Kadri's getting better. Lupul's getting up there with his age. Not a lot of guys at the end of what they can do. They're either approaching their peak or at it. So you get a pass for this deadline, but hurry the hell up. Peace out, guys. Thanks for watching. Like this video if you liked it. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Listen to the brand new Panago Pizza Steve Dangle podcast tonight. Find out what producer Chris thinks about the Roberto Luongo trade. That's why I didn't mention it in this video. We're going to save it for the podcast. We're doing shows Wednesday night and Thursday night. Back-to-backs. It's going to be sick. Now for the games.